Welcome, learner, to this deep dive. What if I told you that in modern football, having the ball for like 55% of a match is actually the fastest way to lose complete control of the game?
I mean, it sounds totally counterintuitive.
Right. But picture the scene. You are walking up to the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It is absolutely pouring rain outside, just gray skies, totally miserable weather.
Oh, the worst kind of match day weather.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Then you step inside,
Right.
right? The stadium roof is closed, the lights are just blazing, and the atmosphere in there is a literal pressure cooker.
Yeah, you could feel the tension.
Because this is the 2026 World Cup, Group A Czechia versus South Africa. And both of these teams walked into this arena backed entirely into a corner after just devastating losses in their opening matches.
Yeah, it was the ultimate zero margin scenario for both of them. Like Czechia came in nursing a really tight 2-1 defeat to South Korea, while South Africa, they were reeling from a pretty bruising 2-0 loss to Mexico.
Yeah, that Mexico game was rough.
It was. And when you drop your first game in a World Cup group stage, your tactical blueprint usually just goes out the window, you know? Survival instincts take over.
Right. And today, our mission is to unpack the dramatic 1-1 draw that unfolded under that closed roof. But we aren't just going to look at the scoreboard today.
No, the scoreboard really doesn't tell the whole story here.
Exactly. We are looking at the overarching theme of control. Like, how do you control a narrative when your country's media is basically calling for your head?
A great question.
Or how do you control a match when the opponent actively refuses to take the ball from you? So we're diving into the intense pre-match psychological warfare, the illusion of possession, and a deeply controversial late penalty that completely reshaped the survival math for Group A.
It's a lot to get through.
It is. So let's start with the battle for control before a single ball was even kicked, because South Africa's head coach, Hugo Bruce, he seemed like a man entirely on the edge.
Oh, he was facing a hurricane of criticism back home, and frankly, a lot of it was tactically justified, you know?
Right, because of the Mexico game.
Exactly. In that opening loss to Mexico, Bruce rolled out this hyper-conservative five-man backline.
Right, and I want to look closely at that back five, because a lot of managers, they default to adding an extra center back when they feel outgunned.
Sure, it's a classic safety blanket.
But against Mexico, it didn't look secure at all. It looked like a straitjacket. They were so rigid that they ended up getting totally isolated in transition.
Yeah, which directly led to the absolute disaster class of that match, right? The 2 red cards.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yaya Sethole and Themba Zwane were both sent off.
Mm-hmm.
And Zwane got hit with a severe 3-match ban that the South African Federation is still trying to appeal. So the media back home is just tearing into Bruce, calling his tactics archaic, and his response...
This was wild.
He holds a press conference and literally tells his critics, specifically former players, turned television pundits, to shut up.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal piece of theater.
I mean, who does that?
Well, he leaned really heavily on his 40 years of coaching experience, right? And he boldly stated to a room full of reporters, just straight out, I do it my way.
But look, looking at it from the outside, telling your national media to shut up usually signals a manager who is spiraling.
It definitely looks like a total loss of composure.
Right. But I have a theory on this, actually.
Yeah.
Was this purely an emotional outburst, or was Bruce intentionally channeling that classic Jose Mourinho, like, us against the world, siege mentality?
Yeah, the Marino playbook.
Exactly. Like, by making himself the villain to the press, he absorbs all the toxic energy and essentially puts a protective shield around his squad that had just been publicly humiliated.
Honestly, I wouldn't call it an emotional spiral at all. I think your theory is much closer to reality here.
Really? You think it was calculated?
Oh, absolutely. In the psychology of tournament management, creating a lightning rod is a highly effective, albeit really risky, strategy.
Because it redirects the heat.
Exactly. Bruce knew his players were brittle after the Mexico defeat. If the media is talking about the coach's unhinged press conference, they aren't talking about the players' mistakes.
That makes total sense.
But the real genius of what Bruce did was hidden underneath all that bluster. While he was yelling, I do it my way, he simultaneously admitted that they could only improve if they actually kept the ball.
Wait, so he gave away the game plan?
Basically, he was publicly defiant, but privately he was entirely abandoning that five-man backline.
So it's like a defiant orchestra conductor telling a booing audience to be quiet, knowing full well he's about to change the sheet music entirely.
That's a great analogy.
But here's the fascinating part. His counterpart, Czechia's coach Miroslav Kubek, completely saw through the smokescreen.
Yeah, Kubek read him like a book.
He went to the press and predicted, on the record, that South Africa was going to ditch the conservative bloc and try to hold possession. And Kubek didn't just talk, right? He reacted to his own team's opening loss by making 5 sweeping changes to his starting lineup.
5 changes in a World Cup is massive.
It is. And the most shocking of which was dropping Tomas Souček, his star West Ham midfielder, to the bench.
Which completely upends the conventional wisdom of international football.
Right, because usually in a must-win game, you play your stars.
Yep.
Regardless of form or, tactical fit.
Exactly. And Souček is a Premier League regular. He's a physical destroyer in the middle of the park.
So why bench him? If you are facing a team that you know is going to try and hold the ball, isn't a physical destroyer exactly what you want in the midfield to break up their rhythm?
Well, not necessarily, and I think this points to a really sophisticated reading of the game by Kubek.
Okay, how so?
So Souček is fantastic in a physical aerial battle, right, or arriving late into the penalty area. But if Kubek anticipated that South Africa was going to try and build out from the back with intricate passing, he needed mobility.
So Souček is too slow for that.
Basically, yeah. Kubek needed a midfield that could shift laterally at high speed and execute a really coordinated pressing trap. Souček's heavier legs might just get bypassed in that specific scenario.
Wow.
So Kubek prioritized the geometric shape of his pressing structure over the individual reputation of his captain.
That is a massive tactical gamble, essentially betting your tournament life on a specific game script playing out perfectly.
Yeah, but once we get to the pitch, that script was ignited almost instantly.
Oh, right. We get an absolute lightning strike just 5 minutes and 8 seconds into the match. The fastest goal of the tournament so far.
It was a sequence of just ruthless efficiency from Czechia.
And it wasn't some complex 30-pass tiki-taka move either. It was direct, exploiting the exact spaces South Africa left exposed by abandoning their back 5.
Exactly the spaces Kubek planned for.
Right, so Adam Hlukic chases down a long throw-in deep down the right channel. He manages to cut a rolling pass back to the edge of the box. Alexander Souček provides this incredibly clever little touch forward, and Michal Sadilek arrives perfectly to bury it past the South African keeper, Ronwen Williams.
It was such a clean strike.
Boom. 1-0 Czechia before the fans have even really settled into their seats.
And that single moment, at 5 minutes and 8 seconds, fundamentally altered the tactical reality of the entire match.
How do you mean?
Because from that second onward, we witnessed the ultimate possession trap. South Africa actually managed to execute Hugo Broos's promise. They took the ball, they hoarded it.
Right. They finished the match with 55% possession.
Right. And this brings me back to your opening question to the listener.
About the 55% possession being a trap.
Exactly. We are constantly fed this modern football mantra that, controlling the ball means controlling the game.
Sure, the Guardiola effect.
Exactly. But watching that first half, South Africa's possession looked like a highly dangerous trap. It was entirely horizontal.
It really was. It felt like Czechia handed South Africa the steering wheel, but completely disconnected the engine.
The steering wheel without the engine. That is the perfect way to visualize it. This is the dilemma of what tactical analysts call sterile domination.
Sterile domination. I like that phrase.
Yeah, because when Sadilek scored that early goal, it handed Czechia the ultimate luxury game state advantage. They no longer had to chase the game. Kubek's team immediately dropped into a highly compact, organized defensive structure.
So instead of trying to win the ball back, they just basically dared South Africa to do something with it.
Precisely. They set up a defensive block that denied all the central spaces.
Right.
If you are South Africa, a team naturally built to attack quickly in transition, and suddenly you are forced to dictate the tempo against a set defense, you just run into a brick wall.
Because there's nowhere to go.
Exactly. What do players do when the central passing lanes are blocked? They pass it out wide. The winger sees no options forward, so they pass it back to the defender, side to side, creating a giant U shape around the Czech penalty area.
It's possession, sure, but it's completely toothless.
Totally toothless.
And the fans in Atlanta realized it really quickly. I mean, by the first hydration break, there was a deafening chorus of boos echoing around that closed dome.
Which is brutal for the players.
It is. And it wasn't because South Africa was losing, necessarily, but because they hadn't registered a single meaningful threat.
No, nothing at all.
The best they mustered was a hopeful, deflected 25-yard effort by Oswin Apollos. They went the entire first half without a single shot on net.
Yeah, because horizontal possession against a disciplined defense is just exhausting for the team with the ball, while the opponent essentially gets to rest in their shape.
So Czechia wasn't controlling the ball, but they were absolutely controlling the geography of the pitch.
Precisely. They dictated exactly where South Africa was allowed to play.
But, eventually, game states shift. We go into halftime, 1-0 to Czechia, and as the second half progresses, we hit a real tipping point.
Yeah, the dynamic definitely changed.
Czechia realizes they can't just sit in a shell forever, right?
Yeah.
So they come out firing to try and kill the game off, and this is where South Africa's keeper, Ronwen Williams, becomes the unsung hero of the match.
Oh, he was incredible in those first 15 minutes of the second half.
He makes 2 monumental saves, denying a blocked shot from Vladimir Derrida and then an incredibly dangerous header from Patrick Schick.
I mean, if either of those go in, the narrative is completely over.
Damn over.
Yeah, a 2-0 deficit, given how impotent South Africa looked in possession, that would have been insurmountable. Williams single-handedly kept their World Cup pulse beating right there.
And sometimes simply surviving those moments sparks a real psychological shift in a team.
It really does. It gives them belief.
Because South Africa finally registers their first shot on target in the 74th minute. Evidence Makopa fires one off. It's an easy save for the Czech keeper, Matej Kovar, but it breaks the seal.
Yeah, you could feel the momentum shifting.
It did shift the momentum, which leads us to the 81st minute and absolute unadulterated chaos.
Oh, man. The moment that will be debated long after this tournament ends.
Seriously. So a shot by South Africa's Maseko comes flying in, and it strikes Czech substitute Pavel Sulk at point-blank range. Now, Sulk's arm is very close to his body.
Very close.
It sparks this massive, furious debate on the pitch, but the referee, Tori Penso, she doesn't blink. She points straight to the spot. Penalty to South Africa.
And that call was instantly polarizing.
Oh, absolutely. I have to look at this through the lens of biomechanics, honestly, because it feels like the current handball rule asks defenders to literally violate the laws of physics.
Oh, 100%.
Try sprinting at full speed, suddenly jumping to block an object, and keeping your arms perfectly glued to your ribs. Like, your body literally loses its center of gravity. It is anatomically impossible to defend like a penguin.
Defend like a penguin. That's brilliant.
But really, is it fair to punish Sulk for a natural physical reaction to a point-blank shot?
Well, you are touching on the fundamental crisis of modern refereeing in the VAR era.
Right.
If we look purely at the biomechanics, you are entirely correct. The human body requires arm extension for balance and momentum.
Yeah.
And the Czech players were screaming this exact point at Tori Penso.
But she didn't care about his intent or his balance, did she?
No, because the interpretation of the law has completely shifted away from subjective intent toward objective silhouettes.
Silhouettes, right.
Yeah, the counter-argument, the one the rule makers are trying to enforce, is about the expected goal value of that shot.
Okay, unpack that for me.
So regardless of Sulk's intent, regardless of his anatomical need for balance, his arm expanded his body's barrier and blocked a ball that was heading toward the target. Ah, I see. If we allow quote-unquote natural arm positions to block shots legally, attackers are essentially shooting at a goalkeeper plus an outfield player with a 3-foot wingspan.
Okay, so the modern game has essentially adopted a standard of strict liability then, like in law.
Strict liability, yes, exactly.
It doesn't matter if you meant to do it. It only matters if the physical contact occurred and altered the trajectory of a shot.
Exactly. Referees are now instructed to just look at the silhouette. Did the arm make the body unnaturally bigger in the context of blocking a ball?
And Penso decided it did.
Right. Tori Penso looked at the contact, saw the arm was slightly detached from the torso, and made the call. It feels incredibly harsh to the defender, but it provides a binary objective metric for VAR to actually enforce.
Wow. So amidst all this screaming, the Czech players surrounding the referee, the VAR checks, the sheer weight of a nation's World Cup hopes dangling by a thread.
It was incredibly tense.
And South Africa's Teboho Mokoena has to step up to the penalty spot. It's the 83rd minute. The psychological burden here is just staggering.
The mental fortitude required to execute in that specific environment, that is what separates elite players from the rest of us.
And there's this bizarre layer of historical pressure on him, too.
Ah, the penalty record.
Yes. Before he took that kick, South Africa possessed a perfect 100% penalty conversion rate in their entire World Cup history.
That's an insane stat.
Right. They scored from the spot in 1998. They did it again in 2002. So Mokoena isn't just trying to keep his team in the 2026 tournament. He has the ghosts of South African football history basically sitting on his shoulders.
Oh, and the opposing players know all the tricks to amplify that pressure, right?
How do they do?
They are in the referee's ear, delaying the kick, literally walking through his line of sight, trying to ice him.
Oh, brutal.
When you are standing over that ball for 2 or 3 minutes while a VAR debate rages on, the goal starts to look a lot smaller and the keeper starts to look a whole lot bigger.
I can't even imagine. But Mokoena completely isolates himself from all the noise. He steps up and emphatically blasts it into the bottom left corner, sending Kovar completely the wrong way.
He was so composed.
It's his 10th international goal. He eventually earns player of the match and, amazingly, keeps that historic 100% conversion rate alive.
It's just a masterclass in focus. That penalty wasn't just a goal. It was a release valve for 80 minutes of pure tactical frustration.
But, as the final whistle blows, making it a 1-1 draw, that release valve feels more like a punctured life raft.
Yeah, the draw didn't really help anyone.
No, there were frantic stoppage time chances. Coach Prevod pulled a shot wide for Czechia. Magopa had another look saved by Kovar, but neither could find the winner.
They were throwing everything forward.
So they end up sharing the points, which in the math of a World Cup group stage feels like they just mutually sabotaged each other's dreams.
The mathematics of Group A are now utterly unforgiving.
It's grim.
This result leaves both teams on exactly 1 point after 2 matches.
Which means we are looking at a pure, unadulterated do-or-die scenario for their final Wednesday matches. Nuance is completely dead.
Absolutely dead.
South Africa must beat South Korea and Czechia must beat Mexico. Draws are totally useless to them now.
And you have to factor in the immense historical weight both nations are dragging into Wednesday, too.
Right, the history.
South Africa has never, not once in their history, advanced past the group stage of a World Cup.
Wow.
And Czechia hasn't advanced to the knockout since 1990. Back when they were competing as Czechoslovakia.
That is a massive psychological hurdle.
The psychological hurdle of breaking a decades-long curse requires a near-perfect performance.
And South Africa is going to have to attempt to break their curse while functionally handicapped.
Oh, the yellow card. Yes.
Yes, because in the midst of that frantic, chaotic second half, their hero, Teboho Mokoena, picked up a yellow card. It was his second of the tournament. He actually played over an hour of this match sitting on that booking. And under tournament rules, that means he is officially suspended for the decisive finale against South Korea.
It is so difficult to overstate how devastating that suspension is for Hugo Broos.
He's that important.
Oh, Mokoena isn't just the guy who scored the penalty. He is the central nervous system of that entire South African setup.
Right.
He dictates the tempo, he breaks up opposition counters, and clearly, as we just saw, he provides the composure in high-pressure moments.
Plus, Bruce is already missing Yaya Sethole and Themba Zwane from the red cards in the Mexico game.
Exactly. The core of his midfield has been entirely decimated by disciplinary issues across just 2 games.
It's a nightmare for a coach.
It really is. Bruce abandoned his back 5 today to gain midfield control, but how does he reinvent his midfield structure a 3rd time, knowing he has to beat an exceptionally disciplined and technically gifted South Korean team?
The puzzle keeps getting more complex.
It does.
And for Czechia, the puzzle is about finishing what they start. I mean, They scored early against South Korea and ended up losing. They scored early today against South Africa, dropped into a defensive shell, and ended up drawing. If they manage to strike early against Mexico on Wednesday, Kubek has to figure out a mechanism to actually put the game to bed, rather than relying on a low block that just invites immense pressure and controversial VAR decisions.
Yeah, they have to learn how to proactively manage a lead rather than just reactively defending it.
Exactly. So, learner, as we look back on this incredible clash in Atlanta, we see a fascinating tapestry of modern football.
We really do.
We saw a coach in Hugo Broos try to control his media narrative with outright defiance, only to drastically alter his tactics behind closed doors.
The classic misdirection.
We witnessed the illusion of possession, where having the ball for 55% of the game was actually a trap set by the fastest goal of the tournament.
The sterile domination.
Right. And we watched the relentless, objective nature of the modern handball rule force a penalty that keeps both of these teams barely breathing in Group A.
It just perfectly encapsulates the beauty and the cruelty of the World Cup group stage, doesn't it?
It really does.
Every tactical tweak, every press conference quote, literally every millimeter of a defender's arm can alter the destiny of an entire nation.
It's incredible. South Africa survived today. They survived on defiance, on raw emotional resilience, and on a highly debated whistle.
They live to fight another day.
But as we look ahead to the decisive matches on Wednesday, I want to leave you with a lingering question to ponder. We've seen that a team can grind out a result through sheer survival instinct.
Right.
But can a team actually advance deep into a World Cup purely by surviving the chaos? Or is there a hard ceiling for any squad that cannot organically dictate the flow of the game from the opening minute?
That's the million-dollar question.
It's the ultimate test of football philosophy, and we will see the answers unfold next week. Until then, keep diving deep.